Welcome everybody to this edition of Service Drive Revolution. I'm Chris Collins, this is Christian.
Hello everyone.
And our special guest today, Roberto, or Rob.
What's up everybody?
Today we're going to talk about Rob's story, how he went from Lube Tech, changing tires, all the way to where he is now. It's a fascinating story. And also we're going to talk about some things going on here in the office. So that and much, much more coming up on this edition of Service Drive Revolution. So let's start off, and I think you had something really funny to say the other day, talking about what a disaster the air conditioning system is in this new building.
That's great.
So I asked you, I was like, doesn't this suck? I was looking for a little confirmation to my pity party.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, this is great. I'm from Canada.
This is fantastic.
It's a tropical paradise.
Yeah. I'm in LA.
He's never seen this much mercury.
Also, like I usually like to have it so cold that you could hang meat. Like we had that complaint in our last coaching meeting, and they were like, "Do you want us to turn it down?" I'm like, "No." Some of the people in the room complained to the hotel directly. So the hotel came to me and they're like, "Hey, people are complaining that it's real cold in here," and I'm like, they're going outside to cool down at the break.
Breaks. That was so funny.
That's fine.
Yep.
But they'll fall asleep. You know, if you make it too warm, you feed them lunch, and then all of a sudden they're taking a nap, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little strategy behind the cold. You know, you do more work if it's cold. So
The best thing is when someone's like, "Hey Chris, everyone's complaining it's a little bit cold in here," and he goes, "Hee hee." Like he has a little laugh.
That's what I sound like?
Sort of. In that particular. He takes joy in it.
Yeah. So couple weeks, hopefully they can fix the AC. It's not easy to get AC fixed right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
I guess the heat wave in the Midwest is causing a short supply of air conditioners because people that never had air conditioning now with whatever's happening with global warming or whatever you want to say, now they want AC. Like even my mom in Washington wants AC. Never in Washington would you consider AC.
I was gonna say it's a pretty cool area, right?
Not.
Yeah. Well, maybe
not
it's just
the last couple summers.
Maybe there's not AC people. I mean, I'm starting to kind of walk around the neighborhood a little bit, and I was walking past a business, and there was a help wanted sign in the window. So I walked in. I said, "What do you need?"
You like his segues?
That's a good segue, yeah.
Pretty smooth, right?
Smooth.
Yeah.
Super smooth.
You kind of know what's happening, but you're not quite sure.
Not sure where it's gonna end, right, Rob?
So, Rob, do you remember when we first talked?
I do.
Me too.
Yeah,
It was a fascinating conversation.
it was.
You're a fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, I think initially, I originally thought I was just going on a call with Christian. Well, Christian's like, "Oh, by the way, Chris is going to join us." I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's right.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
We were on it together?
Yeah, I think that particular one.
Why did we do that to him?
I don't remember, but it worked out.
You just wanted to punish him?
Well, I think the more I got to learn more about Christian, I feel like that's kind of his MO.
Is to surprise you?
Not in that particular
The
one.
surprise moment.
There was something to that particular one.
Is that like a management style of yours that you like to keep them on their toes, like so they don't get comfortable? Because I notice you do that a lot.
Probably a little bit.
He's almost like a sniper.
Look at the grin on his face. If you guys are listening to this and not watching, he got a big grin.
That's funny.
Big shiny grin. But I remember having a pretty in-depth conversation about the industry and that sort of thing. And I think our audience would enjoy being a fly on the wall for those sort of conversations. Because you're smart and you have a lot of experience and wisdom. And so I just kind of want to have that sort of conversation. So we kind of outlined a basic, basic points. So we kind of came up with four points. So kind of tell us your story, like how you started in the industry, and then we'll kind of go from there?
It really started when I was like 7, 8 years old. My dad and grandfather had a 4-bay Texaco gas station back when gas was like 35 cents a liter, right? So, I had a job every day after school. My job was to get dropped off at the gas station, and my job was to clean the floors. 7, 8 years old, pushing a broom that was probably heavier than I weighed, right? But for me, it was like that excitement. I couldn't wait for school to be over because I got to hang with my dad. So it's like my dad had this thing, he always had a rag sticking on his back pocket. I would not start pushing that broom until I had the rag in my back of my pocket because I felt like, all right, I was one of the boys now. I'm 7, 8
Isn't
years
it funny how when we're kids, how really a lot of what we do is copy? So my grandfather was a fireman, so I'd wear, his fire hat and put a badge on.
It's it's an instant, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's instant mentorship, right? And we don't even realize it.
Oh, yeah.
I think, right? At the point, it's 7, 8 years old, and my dad's got this, impulsive impression on me already that I want to be just like him, and it's, and I just, a lot of people say, well, I've been in the car business, I grew up in the car business. Well, I literally grew up in the business. I'm 6, 7, 8 years old. I'm at the shop already. Maybe only pushing a broom, but I thought I was, walking the talk and one of the boys of that age, right? So that just kind of really, it just snowballed after that. I mean,
So did you start working on cars after that?
No, my dad ended up getting a tire shop as well. So I was 15 years old working in this tire shop, and we did all sorts of tires. We did car tires, we did truck tires.
Were you like riding them up and fixing them, kind of everything?
No, at this time I was just fixing them. So I'm 15 years old doing, transport truck tires, and then my dad got into this forklift tire. He added a forklift part of the business to it, and now I'm 15 years old driving around Wallaceburg, Ontario, in a 5-speed Ford F-150, going to these factories in Wallaceburg, taking out forklift tires, bringing them back to the shop.
So you were a mobile tech?
Yeah. Well,
Way before it was popular.
Way before.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, we'd mobile, we go to the town, we take the forklift tires off, bring them back to the
What
shop.
does your dad pay? What are I'm not sure what the laws are in Canada about child labor, but what was your dad, I'm sure there's a statute of limitations, you're not going to get him in trouble, but was he paying you a fair wage, or was it you were part of the family business and you just went to work?
Well, at the Texaco gas station, I got clean rags every day with my pocket.
You got what?
Clean rag every day from my pocket.
That was the pay?
That was my pay. I was learning the ropes.
If you had to come back, you had to use a dirty rag.
That's right, yeah.
But you got dinner, room, and board.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but at the tire shop he owned, minimum wage back then was like $7 an hour. So to me, $7 an hour at 14, 15 years old, that's a gold mine for a kid like that. Most of my buddies weren't even working.
Oh yeah, well, minimum wage when I started working was $4.25.
It's $4.25 too.
Yeah.
But Canada's a little different. So would you go to school and then work after school?
Yeah. So I did the usual. I tried to venture a little bit on my own. I started cutting grass in the summertime. I had like 13 lawns. But being like 14, 15 years old, I'm like, that's way too hot to cut lawns. And then besides that, I missed being in the shop with my dad too. So that kind of fizzled out, and I went back to working with my dad. And then, just the interest in the business started coming along, and then he started introducing, I started watching the way he interacted with the customers, because he was starting to venture from being the technician into the management side of it. So for me, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to be a mechanic at the time. I knew that I wanted to be in the business. I knew I loved it. And the paychecks were always really good, and I ventured off. I finished high school, and it's like, I got accepted to fire college, and I thought to myself, I'm just gonna take a year off.
What's fire college?
So in Canada, it's to be a firefighter.
Oh, okay.
They have an actual college that literally trains you to be a firefighter. And I got accepted, and that was what I wanted to be. Growing up, this kind of in the back of my brain, I wanted to be a firefighter, but still the business was still at the forefront. I felt like I'll take the year off, save some money up, and then I'll make my decision.
Now, like most kids in Canada, you're also huge into beach volleyball. Did you ever consider a career in that?
I have a body for a beach volleyball player, for sure.
You meant hockey.
Yeah.
So this kind of starts to bring us to our story, and to the point is, you, like most of us, decided to forego college for a minute
Yeah.
to work a year. So you're like, I'm gonna take a year and I'm gonna work, and then you never ended up going to college because you made more money than all your friends that graduated college.
This is the thing, like, take the year off, you're making buttloads of money at that age, 17, 18 years old, Lube tech. You know, your buddies they're all in school. Yeah, you're right. You don't have jobs, but you had the money on that Friday night to go out and party and do your extracurricular activities, right? And my buddies didn't have that money. So, the business I'm telling you, it just wraps you. And it's hard not to love the business. It really is. Like, for me, you can never get enough. And there's the ceiling in this business is so high. You work your butt off. There's nothing you can't accomplish in this business, and the income could be astronomical.
Yeah. And so the first point that we have is the thing that you realized early on that we all did is you can create your own path in this business. That if you work harder, you're more committed, you end up, just kind of moving up and being successful by default.
Yeah, I think for me, I had a pretty good path laid out for me by being able to follow my dad's shadow growing up as a kid, right? And I think we all we all follow that path, and we're in that shadow for so long, and and I think it really gives us guidance.
Yeah, for sure.
To what we want to do, right? And that's kind of where I feel like today when I look back, man, it's been a really good run, and I learned a lot of lessons.
It would be so interesting to have your dad on here with you. I'm dying to meet your dad, actually. All the conversations and all the things that you've said about your dad, I would love to meet him someday. So then you go from working in the shop to being an advisor to then being a manager.
Yeah.
And so as you kind of become a manager, what was your first management lesson? For me, my first management lesson when I became a manager was that you had to make decisions in line with the business, not your people.
That's right. Because
if you make the decisions in line with your people, you end up being ill-equipped to serve the customers, and the customers are the most important thing. But what was your big lesson?
I had a big one. This was like we all need that reality check in life, and I got one at a pretty young age. I got my first. I think I was a pretty decent service advisor. I mean, I didn't like to get beat, so I got the opportunity to be a service manager at age 21.
Now, is this at a dealer or an independent?
This is at a Ford dealer.
Ford
in
dealer.
a town called Tilbury, which is outside of Windsor, and
I love Windsor.
That's all right. I was going with it. You see that? So anyway, I mean, and with that opportunity to be a service manager, comes the money. And instead of looking at it as an opportunity to take my career to the next level or gain experience, I looked at it as financially a huge increase to what I was making.
And how old are you?
21 at this time.
21. So you're making, how much money are you making now at 21?
I was like $80,000 a year.
Oh, wow. That's
a lot of money for a 21-year-old.
In Windsor, at that age.
So
are you married at this point?
Oh, God, no.
You're
I was freelancing everywhere.
You're sitting are you sitting on the ice at the hockey game?
Yeah, and I felt like I was more mature as an advisor than I was as a service manager.
Because of the money and the power?
Yeah, because of the money and the power. And when I was an advisor, I still lived at home. But when I got that service manager gig, I'm like, I don't need home anymore. I can get my own place.
Now, did you get your own place or did you have roommates?
No, I got my own place, like an apartment, right? So I guess, with this, more money came more friends, more things to do, more money to go do things.
More opportunities to get in trouble?
100%. It's the party. I mean, the partying increased, the groups increased. And I think it really took I got clouded really quick by the money, and I took for granted the opportunity I was given by my dealer principal because he was a really good dude. Like he took a chance on me, and I let him down. in some aspects, right? Because I got clouded in the opportunity to have all this money and party, but I lost focus.
What was the moment that hit you square in the eye?
We had a warranty audit through Ford Motor Company, and that audit really revealed how crappy of a job I was really doing. It ended up being a $30,000 charge back, and I realized then I wasn't a leader. I was a leader with a title. I wasn't leading my people. I didn't manage my people. I didn't manage my department. The technicians were all my buddies. But I still remember like it was yesterday, I sat across from my dealer principal. I had to look him square in the eye and say, what? Sorry isn't going to fix it. Sorry you gave me the opportunity to cost you $30,000 plus the $80,000 you're paying me a year to do this.
Yeah, and probably to some degree when you're young, and like you kind of reference the immaturity, you're not intentionally, when you're young, thinking like, hey, I'm going to mess this up. You're just not, you're not paying attention, and the consequences come, but you're not really intentionally doing that, right?
No.
So what do you say to him?
I'll be honest with you. I think the only two words I did say was, I am sorry, and that was it. And then I remember a Ford rep, he left, and then I went downstairs. Joe stayed in his office with his two daughters because they were in training to be dealer principals too. And I knew right away this was the end. Like the plug had been pulling out of the tub and the water was draining, and I was going down with it. So he come down to my office. He said, I don't think I really have to explain anything, do I? I said, no, I got you, Joe. That was my sobering moment of, now I have to make that phone call to my dad and say.
Was it harder to tell your dad or to face Joe?
I was just going to ask that same question.
Definitely harder to face my dad, because then you got to have that father-son talk.
Was dad already telling you that you were getting too crazy?
Oh, 100%.
Oh. So dad he was already like, hey, you're letting this go to your head.
Yeah, he's not stupid. Like I was driving race cars at the time too, so, he would see me on weekends, and, that was parties. Everything was just a big party. It was a 7-day-a-week party.
So then what changes? What do you change at that point?
That is the moment you look in the mirror, and I didn't like the person I saw in the mirror. That's what it was. That was.
Wow, really?
And I've said this to Chris a couple times. I really had to step back. And at 21 years old, that's not something you do. Your ego is so big at that age sometimes, it's just like, I don't need to do that. I'm good. But that, for me, I felt like, with everything I learned over the years and the path that was laid out, I felt like I let myself down first. Then I felt like I let my dad down, my family down, let Joe down. So for me, it was a really sobering moment that, man, I'm already into this 5 years. Like, I got to really step back, reset, and start liking the person I see in the mirror every day. I got to reset everything, recalibrate what I do to get back on top. Because when I started looking at it, it was like, okay, I was given a service manager opportunity, but I stepped back and look at it. I don't know if I really earned it. I think Joe just really thought, here's a young guy, he can grow and build together with my daughters, because they're a little older than me, but not much. So I think that moment was, okay, time to refocus, step back as an advisor for a couple more years, re-energize myself, and started really focusing on the next step that I wanted to take.
So at that point you were demoted?
No, I was fired, obviously. I got fired.
That wasn't actually clear to me.
Sorry, I apologize.
So you got fired.
Yeah, I got fired, yeah. And that's...
So do you work there or do you go somewhere else?
I went to, my parents...
Turns out Joe owns every dealership in town.
So what I did was I left Windsor. No, it's true. I did actually. So basically what I did, I packed up my stuff and I moved back home. Put my tail between my legs. And, And
so then you go work for dad?
Yeah. So
dad's a manager?
So my dad was a service manager at a GM store in Oxbridge.
So now you're switching from Ford to GM.
To GM. So I'm thinking, one, I got my tail between my legs. I'm embarrassed. And now my dad, as a service manager at GM Story, says, I have an opportunity for a service advisor position. He says, come there so I can keep an eye on you. Is basically what the words were.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, no problem. So I moved from Windsor all the way to Uxbridge, which is about 5.5 hours difference apart. So I go back there, I work with my dad, I refine my tools, I get back to where I was mentally.
So you only party on Saturdays?
Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah.
Well, some would say Friday night, Saturday, and well, okay.
Yeah, but so that, going back into, I guess you call his shadow, and recalculating and refiguring everything back out was very key for me. That is the changing moment for me in the car business. At age 20, or 2 years later, down the road, I bought my first house. Everything started clicking for me. Everything started making sense, and I was learning the way to be a proper manager and lead your people. And it turns out my dad, he left our store, went to another GM store in Markham, and I got promoted. Not on my dad's recommendation. My dad actually recommended somebody else.
What?
Yeah, but he just felt like I wasn't back to where I needed to be.
So are you 26 at this time?
No, I'm 23 this time. It was 2 years later. So fired at 21, moved home, 2 years of service.
23. So dad just thought it wasn't, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, he was probably thinking about what happened when he was just 2 years
100%.
younger.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was probably weighing on his head.
Huge
But
weight.
so the dealer's like, no, I think we're going to go with.
Yeah, at the time, like the dealer, again, I've always been kind of surrounded by younger dealer principals and general managers growing up through this, through my career. And we kind of had the same wavelength. He liked hockey, I loved hockey. He loved golf, I loved golf. We just had a lot of different things, same things in common. And he gave me a shot, and that was the shot in the arm I needed. And it worked.
So now this time it's like a reset.
Huge reset.
I'm going to I'm going to be responsible, that sort of thing. Now, just a question, nuance, but I'm curious. So I'm imagining when you're 21 and your dad gives you advice, you're not that receptive to it. No. When you're 23, you're calling your dad for advice.
Yes.
Is that a safe?
That's a safe. Well, I'm calling. Can I move home? Right. 2, I'm saying, help me, please, Dad. I need some focus. I need help to get myself back on track.
No, but I'm saying when you become a manager again for the second time.
Yeah.
Are you more asking for help from your dad?
Oh, yeah.
So you don't mess it up this time.
100%.
The stakes are higher.
100%. Yeah, the stakes are through the ceiling at this point, and yeah,
So what's the outcome of that? What do you do with the department?
He really taught me how to manage my people, and how to be a proper leader, implement processes, utilize. Like, we were one of the first dealers, I think, at the time that really, we didn't have a drive-through, but we really started implementing the walk-around process. We were one of the first in that town to start doing that. So that really, my responsibility list got big, and I started working longer hours. I had the store in Windsor. Before I got fired, I was showing up at 9 and leaving at 4. Like, I just took advantage of it. But here I was, 7 o'clock in the morning until 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I was putting in the work, putting in the time, building my leadership skills with my people and my techs, and getting just the respect factor from my people. But I had to respect myself first in order to get to that point, right? And I think that 2 years really helped me build that. So him moving on and me getting an opportunity, really, I pulled fourth gear. We're going then. Things were really starting to happen.
One thing that that's unique about you, maybe that you don't realize, is you're very open. Like, you're curious, you're open, you're when we talk about things, you're engaged in the conversation in a way that most aren't. Most kind of know it all. They have it figured out. It's their way. Where you're, where do you think, did you get that from your dad, or is it sometimes in the son, the son is a mirror of the dad. Sometimes those sort of characteristics are the opposite of the dad because you learned it and maybe saw a blind spot in dad. I don't know. But I'm curious, where did you get your openness?
I really think that firing at 21 changed my outlook and the way I thought about things.
Because I don't know it all.
Right, I don't.
And I'm clearly oblivious to, I just got blind, I got hit by a truck and I never saw it coming.
Yeah, so I took a different path of just being more open to everything in life.
Now you realize that a lot of people in that scenario do the opposite and they get more and more controlling, more and more insecure, and more opinionated.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, at that point I was scared. I was at the point in my life where like, I'm 21 years old. I just got stonewalled because of my own doing. Like I got handed a fate, you know.
Did you think that your career in the business was ruined because you got fired so early?
Yeah.
Like that you wouldn't get another chance, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was, and that's why the phone call goes to the mom and dad, say, I gotta move home. I need this reset. And I really thought like, I think if I would have stayed in Windsor, it might have turned around, but I feel like I needed that geographically change to somewhere different, to live somewhere different, and I needed guidance. That's what it was. I needed guidance to get my career back on track, and I think, and me and Christian talk about this sometimes. I'm wide open to anything. Like,
Oh yeah.
like there is nothing that I'm not closed-minded. I am open to learning. I am open to anything that comes at me. And I think that's something that I've just done myself. I wouldn't say it's from my dad or my mom or anybody else in my family. It's just that firing changed the way I looked at things.
Well, I think it's great that you got humility at that young an age. I think it happens so much later for most people. Like to get it at 21 is a really cool lesson.
Or not at all.
Or not at all. That's a really good point too, that some people never get the humility that he has.
A lot of people don't accept it, right? They fight it or they justify it or that sort of thing. I mean, you definitely have this internal locus of control, and then you have this curiosity about other ways of doing things, which is refreshing and fun to collaborate, right?
Yeah.
With, because we can have conversations about stuff. Okay, and so then kind of the last part of this, kind of wrapping it up, is so there's kind of two things going on, and I thought you were going to say this kind of at the beginning, but I get this sometimes, is when I'm talking to people in Canada, and this is only in reference to people that work for us. I've never had a client say this. Well, maybe I have actually. That you're very American.
Oh, clients have said that before.
They have?
Yeah.
I've had a coach say that to you once before.
Mm-hmm.
That you're very American, and so I'm curious. There's two things going on here, and the question is, one, with all of the experience that you have, and the example of your dad and all that, coming into what we do now on the other side, which we tell you in the beginning like it's different, right?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Because you can't just walk in and change things. You got to convince people to change that it's different. And then the America versus Canada, there is a different way of looking at things. Yeah. We're more similar than we are different, but there are nuances. What are the things that stick out to you the most coming over to this side of it, going in and fixing instead of being the one working in the business?
And before you start that, we were talking a little bit ago about steaks. And
steaks?
Yeah. Do you remember the stakes were really high?
Like a 16-ounce steak?
Yeah,
like a Wagyu?
And that's what it got me to thinking is that I bought a cured ham the other day, and I never figured out what it had. Continue on.
So great.
How do you follow up with that? Like, how
long have you been sitting on that?
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 minutes.
Waiting.
Right when you said steaks, I'm like, could I pop in? I'm like, no, let me wait, and then I'll pull it back.
Now you want me to answer a question now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is coming. So I think there's always this thing, right, where we're like, hey, it's way harder on this side. And everybody's like, yeah. Right? Like you probably did that. You're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did that.
And then you come to this side and you're like, oh, this is hard. And we're like, well, we told you. And you're like, well, you didn't tell me it was that hard. And we're like, no, we told you it was that hard.
I was told by 3 people. I was told by Patricia it was really hard. Christian, and you said it was really hard. I'm like, no problem.
Yeah.
I got this.
It's hard.
My first week here was like, this is really hard.
Yeah,
It's
the expectations are high.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but yeah, man, this side of the business, you really look at yourself in the mirror and you say, what did I do for 20 years? Like, really, what did I do? And you start, and the more you start learning this side of the business and what we do, you really start seeing how closed loop we are. Like, you really.
Oh, like in the dealer world?
Yeah, like in the dealer world,
It's
like,
Groundhog's Day every day.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing, and the outcome doesn't change.
No.
You got customers coming in, and we never change how we approach it. We never test stuff. We're never like, hey, let's try this on 100 customers, and let's try that and see if we sell more alignments. Nothing, right? It's just a closed loop. Don't change. Protect it at all costs, and don't listen to any like.
We're like a hamster. We're just spinning on the wheel, man. And it's so. Yeah, this side, what we do is so dynamic, and I never would have thought, you would never could convince me that this business is all psychological. It really is.
That's a good lesson.
Right? And this business is psychological, from service judo to the maintenance, everything that we do is so far outside the box to every service manager in North America. And, you know, going into stores now, seeing the response or the pushback is like, I was that guy. I did that. I did that pushback. That was me.
And you understand why.
Yeah.
But
100%. Listen, Coach Rob's coming in to help fix my department. No, I don't. I've done this for 25 years. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. So what we do is so dynamic. It's a lot of fun. Yes, it's hard, but it's fun at the same time. Like, we have a lot of fun, and seeing the results. Like, I'll never let anybody tell me that what we do doesn't work, because it works. I've seen it. I've witnessed it, and it's really cool. It's a cool gig. It's a really cool job, and
yeah, it gets addictive.
Yeah,
because you get addicted to fixing stuff.
Yeah, and I said,
You're a little bit of a cowboy.
yeah. I have cowboy boots too. I have some. Did I tell you that?
Me too.
Yeah, I got some nice ones. But anyways,
Why did you buy cowboy boots again? One day he just shows up
just
in
for
cowboy
Dallas?
boots.
He bought them for
were
Dallas.
in
Like
Dallas.
Brett Michaels from 1984 all of a sudden?
Yeah.
For Dallas?
Yeah,
For the
just-
meeting in Dallas?
Yeah.
The only time you've ever worn them?
Yeah.
Well, you can't walk around LA in cowboy boots. Makes no sense. Okay, and so just to go a little bit deeper on that, what did you tell your dad?
Well,
And what did your dad say? Like, I'm so curious about that conversation.
we had some back and forth. When this was,
When you were thinking about coming to work for us, did you ask his advice?
of course,
And what did he say?
don't do it.
Why?
He's a closed loop. He's a closed loop service manager.
Oh, really? Yeah. Does he think it's too risky, or what did he think?
I think a lot of it, he just was looking out for my best interest.
Well, of course, he's your dad.
Right? So
yeah.
I think
But I'm wondering what the reasoning is.
a lot of it, when I explained everything to him, you know, our group is more U.S. based, and you know, we're starting to get more Canadian clientele now. I think his biggest worry was just me stepping off into the ocean and not having a platform to stand on. But I mean, I get that side of it, but I probably could have given him a little more insight on everything that we do and what your future outlook looks like for the Canadian side of it. You know, I said to him, I want to be part of this. I want to be that guy that helps our group get to that next level on the Canadian side, because they need us.
Yeah, Canada's a little further behind.
Yeah.
But the customers aren't further behind.
No,
the customers' expectations are the same as in America.
Right.
So I think, you know, it was more or less just
Play it safe.
play it safe, and I mean, because I had a good gig, I was making good money,
Yeah.
but
No, and you're in demand, the whole thing. So now that once you kind of started to understand what we're doing and you were looking at things a little bit different, then what do you talk to him about the business side of it and systems and that sort of thing?
So we dabble, I told Christian this a little bit, we dabble a little bit about into it and what we do, but at some point, I got to step outside the box and just do it on my own. There's.
But isn't your dad curious about other, like, is he curious about like how we're getting the numbers we're getting? Or is he kind of set with what his results are and what they
set with what they do. He's set with his daily routines and what. We've talked about re-racks and stuff like that. I talked about some stuff we do.
Some stuff, just it's interesting, but not.
Yeah, it's
not exciting.
Right. So I think he's still looking at us as consultants, but that's not what we are. We're coaches, man. Everybody needs a coach. Baseball has coaches. Hockey has coaches.
Beach volleyball.
Beach volleyball, which is my favorite, by the way.
Right.
Almost went pro.
yeah. With this body, for sure. Now that I'm in the, he really starting to understand it more and more now because I'm starting to open up more about what we do and how the process and what we do really does work and how we're changing things.
Do you share the results with him?
I haven't yet, no.
Oh.
But I will.
I bet you if you ever go in and start showing him some dashboards and just let him look at them because,
I think for me, he's going to see them because once my results start coming on the board, which I know are going to be fantastic, he'll see the bigger picture, right? He still supports me. He's still,
he's your dad.
Yeah. So it's.
I would love to have him on. If we could go up there maybe sometime and do it,
That'd be awesome.
Like in Toronto. But if we could ever get him down here, I would love to meet him.
Yeah, he's a good man.
But he's got great stories.
Oh, he's got stories for days.
I love that.
Yeah. So.
So basically, to wrap up and kind of conclude, is Christian's a sniper.
Definite sniper.
He kills people that don't know it's coming. Is that the definition of a sniper?
100%. Like this. It's one thing I learned about Christian. Love the guy to death and full of wisdom.
He has cowboy boots that have been worn once.
Yeah. And he probably wears them with the sniper outfit.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right? You walk around the house in the cowboy boots.
I would for sure. I think cowboy boots are
I said,
great.
do you, not would you? No.
I have before.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
He was breaking them in. You flew to Dallas, weren't you?
I was.
I think I went through a phase when I was a kid with cowboy boots, and like once you start wearing them, you can't really wear anything else.
God, they look so good.
But you got a little arch to it,
Yeah, you got an
and
arch,
so
yeah.
it's a different. It changes your what would you call that? Your gait.
Yeah.
I got a really nice pair of square nose ones that I got them off of Jason Aldean's style of boot. Really nice, super comfortable. Yeah, I don't really wear them.
When if you haven't worn cowboy boots and you start wearing them, you kind of look like you got a stick up your butt for a little while.
Yeah, you walk with a little
Yeah.
waddle, yeah.
A hitch in your giddy up is what
that's
they
right,
call
yeah,
it.
it's a
So you
good
kind of in or out.
Yeah.
That was my experience because there was a time back in my band days where the glam and all that, where we were wearing cowboy boots and also the ones we'd wear were like kind of had a little height. Yeah. So. Okay, well, fun. I want to have you on more. I would love to have your dad on.
I appreciate that.
It's a great story and fun. So let's just kind of go through the list. The first one was you got to create your own path, and this industry lets you do that.
Yeah.
Still to this day,
100%.
somebody could come in, be a lube tech, and end up being a general manager.
Ceiling's high.
Yeah. And then you had that moment that we all have where you had to look in the mirror and grow up, basically, right? I like how you said you had to like yourself. You didn't like who you saw, and you had to change that.
That was huge.
And you're not blaming it on anybody else. You're saying I got to fix it.
Yeah.
Then 3 was be your own man, and then number 4 is really it's a closed loop system, and every day we're doing the same thing, but we don't raise our expectations of the outcome or change anything in there to fine tune the closed loop system. An example of an open loop system is the military.
Yes.
Where you invade a city and you have no idea what's there.
He's a leader.
Yeah, and you got snipers like him. Our thing is very predictable every day.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to change the outcome by tweaking the process and looking at it as a system. Most managers don't look at it as a system. They look at it, okay, we're just going to do the best we can today and see what happens, which is even worse, right?
I think a lot of them live in fear too.
Yeah.
Just today my day.
Well, the turnover is crazy.
Yeah, we get caught in that scary.
That's why I called the first book The Irreplaceable Service Manager, because I want them to think like, how can I be irreplaceable and never get fired? Because it's like with some of the manufacturers we work with, the turnover for service managers is 50%.
That's right.
big number.
Nuts. Nuts. When we do service manager training in the classroom thing, we think, oh, well, there's 1,000 dealerships. Well, when you schedule those, you have to take into consideration the 50% turnover.
It's true.
So if you're going to do 1,000 seats, you got to do 1,500 because there's going to be so much
500
turnover.
no-shows. Yep.
Yeah.
So by the middle of the year, all the classes are sold out, and the dealers are screaming because there isn't any capacity. And it's like, oh, we thought there was 1,000 dealers. Well, yeah, but you didn't take into consideration we're going to fire half of them.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're hoping in year 2 with our training that doesn't happen.
Of course, yeah.
Like we want to reduce the turnover by giving the managers some tools, right?
I think that's the other part of what we do is we want the managers to be the hero. We want them to be the leader. We're just there to help coach them to be that leader, to be the hero, be the guy that turn your department around and make it profitable.
Well, it's funny, right? People call and they're like, we just need advisor training. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
We'll
That'll
train
do
your
it.
advisors.
That's your path.
Trust me. The last thing you'll be thinking about is advisor training when we're done, right?
100%.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so one thing's going to happen to you out in the field is people are going to say, do you know Chris? Do you know Christian? What are they really like? That sort of thing. So just do me a favor and tell them we're total jerks. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Problem.
we're mean, intimidating.
Well, I'm going to say.
You already kind of are saying that about Christian. Just play it off on me too.
Yeah, I'm just.
Chris throws stuff in the office like,
Yeah, we got
Kicks a couch.
we got the sniper and we got the general. I mean, it's
yeah, no heart,
complete jerk.
overreacts. Yeah, it's fun.
Kicking garbage cans.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's fun to have these kind of conversations and let you kind of be a fly on the wall. And I love talking about our industry and stories and how people come up because we all have our stories and it's fun. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.